Hi there, it's Nicole from Mama Elephant, and today I have a sweet little shaker card to share featuring the new Fly With Me stamps and coordinating dies and the new Cloud 9 Creative Cuts die collection. Two fantastic new products from Mama Elephant for the January 2018 release. We're going to start with the stamp set Fly With Me, and I have already kind of pre-laid out the products I want to use, the frames from Cloud 9 as well as the images from the Fly With Me stamp set. I am going to go ahead and stamp these images on some Neenah smooth white cardstock, and I'm using some VersaFine Onyx black ink, and I'll be coloring these in today with some polychromos colored pencils. I've been using these just a little bit, just kind of getting started with these, and I can't say enough great things about them. It's really making me fall in love with colored pencils again, which is really how I kind of got started coloring before Copic markers or any of the other kind of products out there. I've always been a colored pencil girl, but I am loving the polychromos for a couple of reasons. Number one, there is no waxy buildup, meaning when I color over any of the black stamped lines, I'm not getting any of that waxy film, so you still get a really nice crisp stamped image. And so far, so good. I have not had any lead break in these. I am just really pleased with them. They blend beautifully with some GAMSOL. I'm using GAMSOL and a stump pencil here to blend out the colors. And I colored another card, I think it even had elephants here a couple weeks ago. And one of the things I noticed the most is that I think the results are beautiful and fantastic. Almost you get that same blendability and feel that you might get with Copic markers. I think you, especially blending with GAMSOL, you lose those little pencil lines and things that maybe might kind of take away from the beauty of an image. I am really, really happy so far with these pencils. I can't say enough great things about them. So I will definitely be using them a lot in coming videos, trying them out with different images and paper and just seeing what all they can do. The colors I'm using for the elephants are listed across the screen. 3 colors for the gray, and then a little light flesh for the insides of the ears and the bottoms of the feet and cheeks. For my red balloon, I'm using a couple of colors of red. Again, I listed the name of the colored pencil along the bottom of the screen. I did buy the big set of colored pencils. However, if you're wanting to maybe piece together your collection, you bought a small set and you just kind of want to piece in some of the colored pencils, I thought it would be handy to have those listed across the bottom of the screen so you could see what I'm using in case you want to replicate that, or if at any time you want to know exactly what color I'm using to color in anything. For my purple balloon, I've got a couple of really pretty shades. Here, some blue violet, and it's actually called crimson is the lighter color. I don't know that, I think that's kind of misleading, but that's okay. That's the name of that colored pencil. They go together really beautifully. Then I couldn't decide what I wanted to do for that final, and I decided to go with pink. Kind of keep them all in the same color family with pink, purple, and red. And I'm using fuchsia and pink matter lake for that final balloon. And I'm just cleaning off the tip of my stump pencil. Usually, and I do have some, I just didn't grab it, there's some sandpaper and you can clean off your pencil with that as well. A little bit quicker. Since I was really staying within kind of the same color family, I did not worry about it too much this time. But if I am completely switching from a dark color back to a light color, I generally use that sandpaper to clean the tip of my stump pencil so I don't get any funny transfer. I even outlined my balloons with a very light sky blue, and then the little bird is the cobalt green, light cobalt turquoise, and the cadmium, I think that's how you say it, I'm probably not saying that right, yellow. So the bird is really teeny tiny, but I wanted to blend in just a little yellow for his tummy. I'm using some metal snips scissors to cut apart my dies now. And I am going to end up being able to die cut all of these images with one pass of the machine. Just a little note, I am using the Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine. I am absolutely loving it. It die cuts everything beautifully. Now off camera, I did die cut the Cloud 9 frame die from some Bristol Smooth cardstock. Then there are 2 cloud dies in this Cloud 9 die collection, as well as lots of other fantastic little images to do all kinds of scene building or other kinds of cards. I'm using the stitched shape, and I die cut that from my panel. This is creating the shaker frame. On the back, I am simply going to take some of that Post-it tape I used for the Fly With Me dies and tape it in place so that I can ink it all seamlessly. Now, something I generally like to do before I start any background work is kind of lay out my images. I want to make sure that everything is kind of fitting together the way I thought it was going to before I start inking and finishing up the design. So I've got a greeting from Fly With Me that is going to go in the bottom right corner, as well as the little image that's going to sit on the front of the shaker, and then the images that are going to be layered over the front of the shaker card. I'm going to start by taking some picked raspberry Distress Oxide ink and blending this in to the bottom portion of my panel. And I started with a light hand because I'm not coming in from the sides. I really tried to keep my ink within the stitching lines as much as possible. I did not mask it off. I didn't worry about that. In fact, I'm going to show you a little trick. If you get some of this ink where you don't want it and you're using Bristol Smooth cardstock, you can wipe it away with a little bit of water and a light hand. And it's one of my favorite things to do to get rid of unwanted ink. In fact, I got a little too aggressive and I got rid of more ink than I wanted to, which I'll show you here in just a second. I want to get that seamless blend between Wilted Violet and Picked Raspberry. Once I have that, I am going to spritz this whole thing with water from a distress sprayer to create a distressed background. And it's really going to wick away that ink and leave me with some awesome distressing. I like to blot it dry. Now I'm going to take that paper towel and a clean corner and add a little more water, and you can see I wiped away a little too much ink in that top left corner, but I'm just going around the edges and anywhere where the ink maybe kind of got outside the lines or wasn't very nice, I went ahead and wiped that away. I'm also going to reapply a little ink in that top left corner, which doesn't look too great at the moment. So I'm going to spritz that with some water again and kind of clean that up, and it adds a great distressing look and really kind of disguises the fact that I initially wiped away a little too much of the ink. So here is my background now. I want to go ahead and stamp my greeting before I start adding anything else and putting my shaker together. Again, I'm going to take the stamp platform, add my greeting in that bottom right corner, and stamp that with some VersaFine Onyx black ink. And then it's time to start putting it all together. So we're going to remove all the little pieces, take that Post-it tape away from the background, hold the frame in place on a top fold card base, and replace that cloud shape on the card base itself. I've got a piece of Judikins embossable plastic here that I'm going to adhere to the back of the frame. This is going to be my shaker window. I've been using this a lot. It is embossable, like the name says. I don't always use it for that. It's a fantastic kind of lightweight transparency, which works really well for shakers. We'll go ahead and replace the one elephant sitting on top of the shaker window. And I'm going to add some detail to his eyes with a black glaze pen, jelly roll pen. And then take a white jelly roll pen and add some little white dots here and there. One of my favorite things to do with critters, and one of my favorite things to do when coloring with colored pencils, has always been adding these little dots. It's something I've done for years. I think it adds a lot of personality and character and it's just a really fun, quick finishing touch. Again, add detail to the eye on the bird. I have adhered my other elephant, clouds, and everything else to the front of the shaker, adding some little white dots to my elephant. And then I am ready to start putting everything else together to make this a shaker. I'm going to flip it over, double up some foam adhesive. When I'm doing a shaker and I want the material to really be able to move around, I generally always double up the foam adhesive rather, so that there is enough room for that whatever I put inside to move. With one layer, it tends to not move quite as well. So this is going to be a little bit thicker card. I would definitely recommend maybe putting it in a bubble mailer or something if you're mailing it, just in case. Everything else is really, really flat, but those 2 layers of foam adhesive do add a lot of dimension to this card. When I piece together, I want to shorten up my window. I don't want it to go the full length of the card, because otherwise that shaker material is going to be falling all the way to the bottom. So I like to kind of just put it right underneath the window. I'm using a powder tool to kind of deactivate the sides of my foam adhesive, and I'm filling the shaker with some Honeybee Stamps clear bubbles and Pretty Pink Posh iridescent mini star confetti, filling it pretty full because I want that to be visible at all times. I'm ready to remove the backing paper now from all of my foam tape, and then I like to take my card base to my shaker, otherwise you'd spill everything. So we'll grab that, take that to the shaker. It is the same size as an A2 card, so it should fit perfectly. Go ahead and line that up, press it down real good, and then just shake that up for that awesome little shaker card. Now I want to take some of those iridescent stars and adhere them to the front of the card, kind of bringing part of the shaker to the front panel of this card design. I'm not going to go overboard, just add a few little iridescent stars here and there. I'm using a jewel picker to pick these up and put them in place easily. This keeps your fingers out of the glue. A quick stick tool would work as well. Very easy to pick these up, put them in place. Finally, I'm going to take some Nouveau Crystal Glaze. You could also use glossy accents, and I am going to cover the balloons to give them a nice shiny finish. Once the Nouveau Crystal Glaze completely dries, you'll be left with some shiny balloons, which I always like to put a little shine on my balloons. I think it gives them a really awesome finish. It does not add a ton of dimension, and it's a nice effect. I let this sit completely overnight to dry. In fact, I accidentally stuck my thumb in the red balloon, so I had to put another layer over it to kind of fix that mistake. Thanks for joining me today for this shaker card featuring the Mama Elephant Fly With Me stamps and coordinating dies, as well as the Cloud 9 Creative Cuts die collection. The supplies I used to create this shaker card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant that you might be interested in. Please subscribe for weekly card making and stamping videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.